You Kunstpfeifer, you've heard the argument of the common players with which they claim their precedence over you. Now bring forward your own formal reply.
Noble Count, my certain lord, before your esteemed and noble court appear myself, Paulus Harmonicus, appointed Musicus Instrumentalis, and my colleague Anantius, to answer and rebuff for ourselves in the name of all Kunstpfeifer the arguments put before the Beerfiddlers, with which they seek to claim precedence for themselves and for which they wish to receive and have guaranteed certain judicial rights and privileges. In reply, we take exception to their first argument, as it is in part wrong and untrue, and part more in our favor than against us. It is a fallacy when the Beerfiddlers say the Kunstpfeifer cannot play by heart. It is acknowledged throughout this land that we do not only know all dances, but also many other pieces, particularly serenades, by heart. That we play table music and other elaborately composed plays from manuscripts is the greater art, and to our credit, not to our detriment. The Beerfiddlers prove their terrible ignorance and incompetence by despising what they themselves do not know, since they would, if they could present such things, make much ado about it. Furthermore, when the Beerfiddlers say that the Kunstpfeifer make mistakes and make terribly gross sounds, this is also not an unfavorable remark. By acknowledging that sometimes a mistake occurs, you may deduce that playing music from books is an art that is distinguished and which is only accomplished with the help of aptitude, decent education, and years of training. Therefore, it may be easily happen that he who has either not practiced enough or does not pay enough attention to his instrument may make a mistake, which you cannot blame on the art itself, nor on its performers, nor on the actual person who makes the mistake, since among us mortal humans there's no one who does not err from time to time. The Kunstpfeifers are willing to concede the Beerfiddlers' claim that they never make a sow, since they never make one sow alone, but rather an entire herd. Their performances consist of many hoarse fifths, cow octaves, and revolting dissonances in many loud piglets that continuously chase one another, so that a discerning ear might easily succumb to colic. When third, the Beerfiddlers state that the Kunstpfeifers are misers and that they have their efforts paid too well, when they do such great injustice to us that we, the Kunstpfeifer, must vindicate our good name, we shall counter this claim before the courts at a later date, as nobody should tell another person what honorarium they shall receive. Nevertheless, this again proves that we are preferred to the Beerfiddlers, since the artful is always rewarded more highly than the slovenly. Concerning their fourth argument, it is known that the Kunstpfeifer and honest musicians are not retained to make dukes and lords wealthy, but to nourish and cheer those who are diminished by worry and work. When fifth, the Beerfiddlers claim they are musicians of the aristocracy and the Kunstpfeifer are only musicians of the bourgeois, then they do enormous harm to the truth, since the Kunstpfeifer do not play their music for the bourgeois, but also for dukes and lords. Although at times the noblemen use the service of the Beerfiddlers, this happens mainly because they cannot have the honorable or honest musicians. In such cases, the saying is true: if you cannot have a virgin, you have to dance with the horse. And when I say horse, I of course mean whore. If sixth, the Beerfiddlers can stage such pretty comedies as they boast, the Kunstpfeifer will believe it when he sees it. We are happy to admit that they have accomplished slovenly tramps and quack doctors who have, out of poverty and frugality, could not commission better music when they presented comedies themselves. It is, however, known to the entire world that the Beerfiddlers have never been employed for imperial, royal, or other honorable comedies unless their services were required for a farce. But last, but not quite least, when the Beerfiddlers state that many citizens would rather listen to them than the Kunstpfeifer, this cannot diminish the honor of the precedence of the Kunstpfeifer, since the misconception of an ignorant or incompetent cannot injure and appraise an excellent discipline, nor will they decrease its esteem. Above all, the Kunstpfeifer declare that we wish to be fairly protected in our traditional honor and precedence because we add beauty to church services, and our instrumental music thus facilitates the soul's sanctuary in prayer and worship. The Beerfiddlers, on the contrary, adhere to Bacchus and Venus rather than God. In conclusion, We, wrongly accused, plead for a just acknowledgement and verdict that the unauthorized accusers and their untenable claims shall be entirely eliminated and rejected. Moreover, they shall be condemned because of their committed slander and heinous deed, to not only pay the resulting costs, but of also considerable fine to set an example for other devious accusers. Furthermore, and as if fair and just that the defendants shall have their precedence and preeminence confirmed by this court, we beseech thee in the most noble mode of law.
Thank you. You common players, you've heard what the Kunstpfeifer stated against your request, excipiendo. You shall therefore, if you have something to say against it, know that you may express a replicando.
Well-educated Count, we maintain that all we said is very true. Even if we cannot speak Latin, it is still all true and good. May the Kunstpfeifer say what they please. Therefore, we hope that we shall win this matter.
Have you finished?
Yeah?
Duplicando, repeat the defendants their speech, word for word, and assert that the plaintiff have not been able to say anything against it. Therefore, it's not unjust to make this short, to leave it at that. And we herewith close with this brief pleasantry.
So, friends, what do you think? Shall I write a resolution, or shall we just have some fun with these people? Because the Beerfiddlers, they boast that they can enact such fair comedies. Would it not be pleasurable to order them to give us an example of their art? You Beerfiddlers, we could have promptly given you our judgment, but so that nobody will complain that we didn't investigate this matter carefully enough, we've therefore decided to defer our judgment until we've seen and listened to for ourselves anything that may serve to provide us with better information. Therefore, we order you, you common players, as you've stated that you can stage incredibly beautiful comedies. You shall show us your example. But this is under the condition that the comedy that you shall enact be funny, short, and good. This you shall surely manage. After that, we shall decide what is fair.